Picture this: road shut down because of thick volcanic ashes, and the air thick with dust that scratches our throat in every breath. Hideous, right? Well, this isn't just science fiction. It is the daily reality of many who live around Mount Etna in Italy. A pleasant morning to everyone. I am Michael B. Marucot, a third-year BS Geolang student of Batangas State University, and in this presentation of ours, let us explore the newest developments in the estimation of tephra fallout hazard in Mount Etna in Italy during the Panacea project, which is a study of Simona Scolo et al. Tephra fallout, the rain of volcanic particles from the sky, poses real and urgent challenges. From air traffic chaos to severe crop losses, the impact is wide and severe. Mount Etna is one of the most active volcanoes on the planet, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. Over the past 2 decades, its eruptions have intensified. This is why the Panacea project was born, to improve how we monitor, we model, and manage the risks of tephra fallout. So maybe you are wondering what Panacea means. So the Panacea, or the probabilistic assessment of volcano-related multi-hazard and multi-risk Etna project, brings together top minds and modern technology to tackle one pressing problem. It is to understand and to manage volcanic hazards. So the Work Package 2, or the WP2, hones in on tephra fallout. The goal here is to blend scientific precision and practical tools using the data from satellites, radars, and ground sensors combined with the simulations of a forecast where tephra might fall and how severe the fallout could be. So this insight helps shape public policy, disaster preparedness, and real-time responses. So Mount Etna isn't just an active volcano. It is explosive. Most of its eruptions starts mildly, but some of them can rapidly intensify into dramatic lava fountains and towering ash plumes. The volcanic explosivity index of the Mount Etna hovers between 2 and 3. But the sheer number of paroxysms, or over 200 in recent decades, make it uniquely challenging. So this column of ash can soar 15 kilometers into the sky, raining debris across Sicily and beyond. So understanding this behavior is very crucial for accurate forecasting. So how do you watch a volcano that never sleeps? You use a network of remote sensing tools. From visible and thermal cameras planted near the summit to powerful satellites and Doppler weather radars, each instrument plays a role in estimating how high the ash columns reaches and how much materials is being released. So by combining data from multiple sources, researchers can verify results and correct for errors caused by the wind, cloud cover, or viewing angles. So this fusion of technology forms the backbone of the modern volcanic surveillance. So once the eruption source parameters are defined, the next step is the modeling. So tephra-2 is a nimble 2D model that offers fast results, great for on-fly crisis management. Full 3D, meanwhile, dives deep with 3D simulations according for turbulent wind fields and ash aggregation. So it's a little bit slower but more precise than the other one. So by using both, the researchers can cross-check predictions, and they reduce the margin of error, helping civil protection agencies act with confidence and accuracy. So now let's distinguish the differences and the similarities between the strong plume scenarios, or the SPS, and the weak plume scenario, or the WPS. First, strong plume scenario represent a more explosive eruption. The plume here rises to 11 km, releasing a massive 1 million kg of tephra per second. The eruption here is considered short, that typically lasts around 5 minutes. By that, it affects a wider area with more intense fallout. While looking to the weak plume scenario, so the WPS, we can say that it represents a milder, longer-lasting eruption. The plume here has a height of 6 km and it emits 100,000 kg per second. So the eruption lasts around 3 hours. Imagine that. Well, by that, it covers a smaller fallout area with less intensity. Their similarities, on the other hand, both of them used in volcanic hazard simulations. They are based on the eruption source parameters, or the ESPS, like column height and eruption rate. Both of them are inputs of TEFRA2 and the fall 3D models to forecast ash distribution. So let's bring this science into life. So this study on September 2021 is specifically the 21st of September 2021, the Mount Etna erupted. When researchers here compared forecast using default scenario inputs versus the real-time data from the remote sensors, the difference was striking. The sensor-based forecast showed a more confined ash spread, sparing Reggio Calabria's airport. The predefined model had overestimated the impact. This case underlines how real-time data dramatically sharpens hazard forecast. So, as we can see in the figure A and the figure B here, to estimate how much volcanic materials, or the mass eruption rate, or the MER, it is released during an Etna eruptions, where researchers used 3 different methods. The MDB red curve, which is based on the buoyant plume theory, where it assumes an average wind conditions along the eruption column. So this trends to give higher MER values because it is very sensitive to the height of the ash plume, which can distorted by the crosswinds. Next one is the M-radar, or the black curve, where it uses radar and a simplified approach of VARR based on a mass continuity. It provides a more balanced estimate, often used in real-time monitoring. And the last one is the MTIC, or the Cayenne curve, where it applies a divergence theory to thermal camera data. So this method gives a lower MER values, but it aligns well with M-radar and is heavily dependent on how actually accurate the TEFRA exit speed is measured. So in figure 5B here, the cumulative total mass, or the TM, calculated over time using these 3 methods is about 1.4 times 10 raised to 9 kilogram, which is consistent with the known lava fountain events at Etna, where the satellite's data also confirmed that only about 1% of this mass consisted of the fine ash particles. So, by that, each methods, or all of those methods, gives a slightly different MER curve, but combining them together, they help validate the total eruptive mass to reduce uncertainty in their estimates. So, to estimate the long-term TEFRA fallout hazard at Mount Etna, the researchers run hundreds of simulations using the TEFRA2 model. They incorporate wind variability and the eruption data as well. By that, they use Bayesian methods to account for uncertainty and created hazard curves across a detailed grid. For summit eruptions, TEFRA load was assessed over 1, 3, and 5 years, while for less frequent flank eruptions, they use longer time frames of 10, 30, and 50 years. So here, each eruption scenarios was paired with realistic eruption parameters and wind data. The result here showed the probability of specific tephra loads. Example is the 5 cm at each location, helping identify which area are most at risk and informing multi-hazard planning for nearby town like Milo. So the researchers also study about the risk of the ballistic fallout, where, for those who don't know, ballistic fallout is a large volcanic bombs ejected during the Etna's lava fountains. So to estimate the area affected in near real time, they use a tool called the eject, which is in the picture. So it is a basaltic trajectory calculator that predicts how far and how fast these clasts travel before hitting the ground. So here, they use the eject model to stimulate the trajectory of volcanic bombs based on the realistic eruption conditions like speed, angle, and particle size. So by assuming the bombs could be ejected from a higher up in the eruption column, specifically from the incandescent jet region or the IJR, the model predicted that clasts could travel farther than previously thought. So these simulations show that under some conditions, volcanic bombs could land well beyond the intermediate crater area, or potentially impacting areas accessible to tourists, hikers, or even infrastructure. So these models really helps volcanologists define risk zones during future eruptions and support real-time hazard assessment. So volcanic eruptions are inevitable, but their consequences don't have to be. Thanks to the Panacea project, we now have better tools to predict and prepare for tephra fallout. From the radars to remote sensors and from the real-time models to long-term hazard maps, these integrations of science and technology can literally save lives. And although some projects is based at Etna, its methods are paving the way for improved hazard management at active volcanoes all around the world. That's the power of proactive science in a world shaped by the dynamic Earth system. So this is all of my presentation. Thank you guys for your attention and goodbye.